Hello, everyone. This is the BFEG platform celebrating the Black History Month 365. My name is Lucy Isaiah. I am your host, and I have Tammy today, Gedo, our co-host. Today, we'll be actually talking about the forgotten African soldier. This is something that we are very passionate, especially me, because my great-great-granduncle were part of it. And one of the reasons my daddy went into the army was because of one of our family members who has actually fought in Burma. So this is a very passionate topic for me. And I've done a lot of artwork around the forgotten African soldier, which is, if you go to the Woolwich Library, you will see some of our artwork displayed there. So today, without wasting too much of your time, I'm going to leave this beautiful presentation over to the hand of Mother aka Shosha to bring us into the light. So guys, over to you, Mother Shosha.
Thank you, Madam CEO. Evening, everyone. It's good to be back. I told you last week not to touch that we're coming. So this week, I don't want to waste time. If you are joining us, this is Black Female Entrepreneur, like Madam CEO said. So what I always tell you, get your favorite drink and your snacks, and I'm going to pass you all over to Mr. Cletus. Mr. Cletus, good evening, sir. Welcome once again, sir.
Good evening, ladies. Like you said, this is Cletus from Lagos. It's always a time to behold when we gather to talk about Africa, be it storytelling or talking about forgotten heroes. And today we're taking forgotten heroes. We will come from a slightly different angle today, even when we're talking about forgotten heroes. First, I want to start by saying that there are two types of soldiers in Africa. The first are the veterans that went to First World War and Second World War. Then the second are people who were referred to as warlords and maybe who fought local wars like civil wars. Now, these people who went to Burma and First and Second World War are very disciplined human beings. And they are the ones that were forgotten. But the other group, the warlords and the ones who fought in local civil war, are the ones who have created over 80% of the problems we have in Africa. They took over our government forcefully. They mismanaged our natural resources. I'm talking about from West Africa to East Africa to sometimes even North Africa. They are everywhere. They are the ones who Western wars are put there as puppets. They use them to siphon money. They never remember those who fought in the World War. Never. They never recognize them. These warlords are silent killers. They kill their opponents. Anyone who is against them, they will eliminate the person. They are not disciplined. They impoverish the entire African continent. If you watch, it's either they are still in power or the people that they installed are still in power. They usually transform from being dictators to civilian presidents, thereby becoming even recognized dictators. They call them, some people call them, some call themselves presidents. Like, for example, Nigerian Babangida said is Mr. President. Just look up beside this president. So they also destroyed all values that we had in Africa. I'm talking about these warlords and these local soldiers. They are the ones who render the military weak so that they will remain there. They install their children and their loved ones, maybe their friends, as leaders. So these warlords are the ones that have created what we call bad belly in Nigeria, that has made the real soldiers not to be remembered. So the real soldiers, what do they, let's look at their characteristics. They lived and died poor. Their salaries ended almost immediately they came back from Burma. They became blind and remained broke until they died. They were not integrated into the system at all. There was no support whatsoever. Their families even left them. Their wives and their children sometimes left them. And they struggled during the World War and came back to struggle till they died. They suffered post-war trauma. And we have a very few of them left, maybe one or two. They've all died out. So I wanted to lay this foundation so that we see what we have even done to these our brethren. Then it's no longer news that over 1 million Africans fought during the Second World War. It's no longer news. It's no longer news that hundreds of thousands of West African soldiers were forced into this war. It's also no longer news that over 400,000 Africans fought for the French forces. You know, you have it in Islam, the French forces, the British forces, German forces, even Belgium. They all came to Africa to take people to be wasted in a war that does not belong to the people. And all African soldiers were poorly paid. I think we all know that, while they were there. Even if Cletus Chukma was doing the same thing as an African soldier like my British counterpart, he would be paid 4 times more than myself. In fact, we're going to give you some statistics where everything they were discriminated against even during the war. They were not treated like human beings. They were given inhuman treatment. Then on a general note, over 21 to 25 million people died during the war. And Africans accounted for several millions of that. Then there's one that we're talking about this evening, which is the forgotten soldiers, forgotten heroes, officially called the United Kingdom's 14th Army. The Forgotten Army was formed in 1943 to fight the Japanese in Burma. The composition was made up of 13 infantry divisions. 2 came from West Africa, 1 from East Africa, 8 from India, and only 2 from Britain. Over 1 million of our people were moved into that war in 1944. African, we want to talk again today. Let's digress a little into Black people who came from America. They are called African Americans who fought in that war. They're equally our brothers. After all, they have their roots from West Africa, and of course, that they were taken away. Over 1.5 million soldiers of African descent came from America to fight war in Japan and all over the world. Over 800, there's a place called Iwo Jima. Because America needed it to take off and go and fight drop bomb in Japan. And 800 African Americans served in that island. They were supplying ammunition. They were evacuating the wounded. And these Black soldiers were the ones who were the part of the soldiers who hoisted American flag after they defeated the Japanese army in that place, called Suribachi Island. It's the highest point in that island. And they were the ones, African Americans were the ones who went there to hoist their flag. There was no civilian who lived, as we speak, no civilian lived in that Iwo Jima. And any civilian movement to that place is heavily restricted. Why? Because in that place, the war was so tough. I am relating it to Africans who were there, that 222,000 Japanese were killed in 36 days. Bloody war, because they needed that island to move in. What did the Japanese do? They hid themselves in the rock in that place. but American Marines were bringing them out. 7,000 Marines, Americans, were dead in 36 days also. 20,000 were injured in that same 36 days. The war was fierce. Up until today, 12,000 Japanese cannot be accounted for. Their bones were never seen, their corpses were never seen. Horrible war. But meanwhile, 800 Black Americans were in that war, the tough war. Why are we bringing this analysis? Why are we bringing this analogy? Because based on the single story that the West has always told, that Africans cannot do anything. We're talking about one of the most difficult wars that was ever fought. You had 800 Black Americans there. Then this Iwo Jima is just about 7 kilometers long. That's the length, 4 kilometers wide, and the area is just 21 kilometers. It's a volcano island. And it's in Pacific Ocean. That's the location. Everything, every emergency landing and taking off that are accounted for over 2,500 flights of B-29 bombers took place in Iwo Jima, that island, where you have those Black people fighting for America. That island saved over 24,000 American Marines, airmen, because it was a strategic location for them. And that is a little digression to add to these forgotten African soldiers. They too in America are not remembered. One journalist even wrote to say that there are thousands of Americans Black Americans who went to Second World War, fought the war meritoriously, and they were never shown in Clint Eastwood movie. Well, that was being sarcastic to say these Black guys did a good job, but they were never remembered. So we move on to talking about our people now coming back. It was in the year 2018, the then president of Mali, President Ibrahim Babakar, said, and I quote, "Today," which referring to the 6th of November, 2018, "today we honor our heroes. Incidentally, the president's great-grandfather, who lost his life in 1916 in First World War." So you can understand why he can at least remember heroes, because his great-grandfather lost his life in that war. That's about the highest or the best honor we give to our veterans who fought in the World War. Now, from Senegal to Ivory Coast to Mali to Benin Republic, they all died for France. Thousands of African soldiers died for France. The same thing, West African soldiers died for Britain. The original monument, the Black Army set up in Reims in the year 1920s, was removed by Nazi's army when they came during the Second World War. Until today, nothing that says that the Black people ever fought in France. Tragedy. So if we look at it, before I tell you the story of one of the Malians who is alive, one of the veterans, is about the only known veteran who went to Second World War that's alive. Let's go back to some of the things that are happening in your West. Do you know that Poland is asking for $1.3 trillion as reparation from Germany? Do you know that over 89 billion has been paid, 89 billion euros has been paid to individuals by Germany? In Europe, no African, no Black American. Are you aware that Germany has paid over 74 billion euros to Israel as reparation? Are you also aware that even Germany has paid Soviet Union, Britain, and France certain huge sums of money as reparation, nothing for the African. This is, just Google it. It's on the internet. Now the question is, why this discrimination that started long ago? Let me give you a little. In that same war, where they came to take black people to fight for them, be it the British troop or the French troop or the German troop, they discriminated against these black people. When I talk about discrimination, I'm going to give you details. It's not just, oh, I don't like them. They conducted their work assignments separately. In other words, the white soldiers never allowed the black soldiers to carry out the assignment together. The black soldiers will go and carry their assignment differently. They will do their own different. In fact, it's God that actually said that, decreed that they will not die, because Jesus Christ said a kingdom divided cannot stand. Do you know that in medical treatment, the black soldiers received blood from a different blood bank? They received treatment from a different hospital. They received treatment from different medical staff. In other words, the doctors that treat white injured soldiers don't treat black injured soldiers. Do you know that when they want to have recreation, soldiers, from time to time they have recreation, they will never allow black people to come and have recreation with them. They were segregated against. Are you aware that everything that has to do with life, the white people were doing their things differently from black people? Even so much so that when the black soldiers go back to the civilians, maybe they forget one or two things, they were always humiliated. You know, soldiers who are wearing uniform, they're supposed to be greeted and praised for defending them. They laugh at them and humiliate them. These were the things that they received hostilities from white civilians. These were the things that the black soldiers contended with. Not only the war. Now, if we go further, the African Americans, they faced fascism abroad, and of course, internally, they faced racism from U.S. Army, U.S. Navy, U.S. Marine, and at home, also faced racism. Black people, you see, the black person is very strong. I'm telling you, I'll prove it. What do I mean by very strong? If what the world, because it's not only when we say white people, it's not only Europe, even Indians and Chinese, they don't treat black people well. You know that. What black race have gone through, if it's any other race, be it China, India, or Europe, they would have been out of this surface of the earth. Why? It is in your Europe that your young girls and your young boys are committing suicide. You have water, you have lights, your medical, whatever is working, you have money, everything is just there for you. You're not lacking anything, yet they still commit suicide. If they have anyone who calls a name, oh, now you have come up with what you call depression. The person is depressed because he's not loved by the boyfriend or the girlfriend. They've forgotten all the inhuman treatment they've been given to the black person, yet we remain very resolute and very strong. Now, let's go to the story of a veteran that is still alive and is in Mali. It's in Gambia. His name is Elder Ebu Jahan. Ebu Jahan lived in Gambia. By the way, Gambia is a West African country. If you know where West Africa is, you know Senegal. and it used to be Senegambia. And so if you look at the map of Senegal, and they just carved a small portion of land and call it Gambia. So that's the Gambia I'm talking about. By the way, why Senegal speaks French, colonized by the French, that little country is colonized by the British. Because I'm a journalist, I've been there, I was there in 2010, when Gambia hosted under 17 African Nations Cup. And I was blown away. Little Ireland, very efficient people, unlike my country where nothing about government works. Their hotels are run by government, fantastic. It may not be a 5-star or whatever, but it's decent and smells good. And every time they clean it up. In my country, they can call it 5-star, it's still smelling. So I fell in love with Gambia. And the only thing I didn't like about Gambia then was that white women from Europe and America were flying into Gambia because they were very peaceful, to go and get married to all those women who are in their 50s and their late 40s, who have divorced their husbands. They went to Gambia to go and be picking 25-year-old boys. So on a Thursday, I moved into what do you call it, a court, and I found 14 couples, all wishy-washy old women of Europe, coming to pick very young, able-bodied boys in Gambia. And I said, this is another slavery. And the boys were excited. They were getting married to old women. I couldn't place it. Anyway, that's my experience with Gambia. So they continue the slavery. I don't know why people are laughing. It's not funny. Stay there. They just come at 52, they will marry 27-year-old boys. Wasted generation. Anyway, so this Oga Jahan was interviewed by Al Jazeera on November 14, 2021. Let me give you detailed story about that man. Then that will give you a fair, a very clear view of what the British and the entire Europe did to Africa. A 22-year-old boy whose father was into goldsmith. And so he was learning the trade. And boom, Second World War started. And the British now decided to go to all their colonies in Africa to start getting able-bodied young boys. And the man said, Papa said he was 102 years old last year. He said they hired the chiefs and gave the chiefs mandate. There were 36 chiefs in Gambia. And they told those chiefs to be giving them 48 young men every month. 48 young men every month. And Baba was 22 then. Imagine if you just cross your teen age, entered a young adult, you are full of life, vibrant, you are full of energy. In those days, when I was in the village, we were playing football in those days. At that age, maybe in 1981, you can play football for 7 hours, you don't get tired. And so this boy, according to him, the chiefs were mandated to arrest them and take them for training. So he said, every year they normally go to their ancestral village. We all came from ancestral village, apart from going to the cities and all of that. So on this occasion, they went to their ancestral village. He went to ancestral village with his mother and the father. And when they got there, the chief found that he was very stuck. He was looking very healthy. He said, catch this one for the white people. They arrested him. And that was how they took him to camp in 1943. He lost contact with his father and he was taken to camp. And according to him, they were trained there and they were about 1,728 people that they sent to Nigeria. That it was on the, I think it said on the 10th of July, they left Lagos with the others that they captured in Nigeria. And I guess maybe he entered the same ship with my uncle. I'm sure that he entered the same ship with my uncle because my uncle went there. I have two uncles, like I told you people. Maybe two of them were there in that bloody ship that took them. And they were taken to Burma in India, which is now Mumbai. And he said they arrived on the 14th of August. Baba was giving details, dates at 102. He's still agile and still, his brain is still working. And they arrived on the 14th of August. He said it took another 6 months to train them. And after 6 months, they shipped them to Burma, where they can go and die because they are just nothing but animals that should die. Baba said, as they were arriving at Burma, bombardment started. You can imagine you left your African continent, and it took you 1 month journey to get to Mumbai. In 6 months, they were training you to go and learn how to kill people and how you can also be killed. And the young man said his first contact of war was bombardment. And when they arrived, they dashed into the bush. Baba didn't know anywhere in the bush, but they were in the bush. And said they fought and fought and fought. And he gave the analogy that it was his troop, his regiment, that defeated the Japanese and the Chinese people that had defeated British forces in the year 1942. And he gave a sample of one day they were moving and war. They laid an ambush for them, and 3 of his Gambian soldiers, friends, were killed in that attack. That it was only God that brought him. So now he's back. He came back. He told us how the war ended and how they came back in 1946, January, actually, because the war ended. They announced it in November, December, but they didn't get back to Gambia until January 1946. Baba went back to his goldsmith. Baba still has a shop as a goldsmith in Gambia till today. I made this analogy. I brought out this story to tell you this is a typical story of the forgotten soldier. That man is still going to his shop at the age of 102 to go and sell chains and whatever to people so that he can live. This is not a good story. However, the British people, the Americans, the Germans, they are busy paying themselves what they call repatriation. Israel is being talked about every year. Oh, the Holocaust. I agree, no problem. Oh, the Holocaust. Oh, you Americans have to pay, the British have to pay this. Oh, Germans, you have to pay. Now Poland is asking for 1.3 trillion euros. That is mind-boggling. And mark you, it's just a matter of time, they will pay Poland. So in all this equation, with all this suffering, with the evil of getting someone into a war that is not his war, and when he got there, he was treated as animals, like animals, was not paid well, was segregated upon, came back and suffered, and no repatriation for such people. How then do we say that we are created by the same God? How? How can any European tell me that they know Jesus Christ? How? How can they convince me that they actually mean what they put on paper, that we're all equal? It was Martin Luther King said that, listen, that if he was in China or Russia, dictators, government, and all of that, that he would have understood. But America is saying that their country is a place of freedom. And he said, act what you have written in the books. So Hawan asked about what the Europeans are doing, what the Western world are doing by being obvious in their segregation, I will come back home to ask our government. There's a parable in my place. I can't speak it in English because if I say it in English, it will lose the meaning. I'm going to speak it in my language. So if somebody should reject you, you shouldn't reject yourself. So why are African leaders not remembering our heroes past? Why are they not remembering their children? Because their children also suffered. That war affected these veterans. Even their children are suffering. I have a cousin, my cousin, who suffered heart attack about 3 weeks ago. The father went to Burma war. They were not fully paid. They're still suffering it. So why did the two worlds reject those who went to fight for Burma? The first war being Europe and the entire West, and of course, the Africans. And I want to commend Madam CEO and Madam Social. Every time you bring me back to talk about forgotten African heroes, it touches my subconscious mind. And this is what we should be talking about. Their reparation, what we have to do for them is almost as important as the air, the oxygen that we breathe today. Because if Germany is still being made to pay for reparation, and they are continuing and they pay billions, even trillions, and nothing is being said about Africa, the world is a joke. The world is acting like a fraud. The world is saying there are people who are not humans, and there are people who are humans. So our only solace is the Almighty God. But I want to say that Almighty God is the God that created all of us. We Africans must rise up. We must rise up because if we don't fight now, even our own children will suffer more. There is no reason why repatriation should not be paid to Nigerians, West Africans, East Africans, and Africans all over the world. And we can say enough is enough. The Queen and the Commonwealth, the leaders of all the Western nations, we must use our strength, our intellect, our abilities, our resolve to say enough is enough. Thank you very much.
Mr. Cletus, that was very, you can tell that was very touching, emotional, and it's, you know, we keep saying it, and I like bringing it in the month of November, because now this is the what's they call it, the remembrance month of the soldiers who fought during the World War, and they will have Remembrance Sunday. And as I was reading, I also discovered that African women also fought during the World War, but it has never been mentioned that the African women were also taken to fight during the war and the role they played. And I came across some pictures. They were not even properly dressed, you know, for us at the way soldiers we dress. They were all covered. They just wear their normal ordinary clothes. Just imagine taking somebody away from their land and going to another place to fight, and you just dress them without no proper, like you see, as if they were armies. It's saddening me because I always said to my Mr. Cletus, I said, my daddy went into the military because of one of our in-law, I would call him uncle, that actually fought in Burma. And my daddy also served in Portsmouth in UK. And I remember when they went during their service, and they called them I'm trying to remember the Florida ship. They were lost in the Atlantic Ocean for over 6 months. I don't know, Mr. Crest, I don't know. I believe you should know about this. They were lost, and they came back to tell my mom that my dad that they are all dead, that they're not going to come back again. So it was after a year that they found their ship. It was a submarine. And I think this actually affected my daddy a great deal, because I know when my daddy came by, he was, we growing up, he was very an introvert person. He liked staying on his own. And this is, you're talking about the post-trauma. And I got to know that my daddy also fought during the Civil War. So these are some of the things that I'm looking at. I know you were talking about those veterans that go for civil, not veterans, those terrans that actually cause civil war. And some of them have been sponsored by the Western war.
Yes.
So this is a double whammy, double slap on both sides. And a lot of us that we are children of people that have actually fought, that their parents has fought even in the Civil War and also fought in the World War, it actually affects us as individuals, because we never get time to see our parents. We never get time to have that fatherly support, fatherly love. And even though when they came back, they were never the same. So we were all, as a family, it really, really affects us as a family. And when you find out that you always see your dad, and I still also relate to other people that their father or their mom is serving in either Iraq, Iran, going for war. The impact that this does to family is really bad. And again, not to even acknowledge and discriminate with who you acknowledge and who you don't acknowledge. I know some people will be saying, oh, do you just want acknowledgement? It's not about the acknowledgement. It's not just saying, oh, you have to, it's just the ethic in which you decided to celebrate some part of people that fought, and the others ones that actually fought, you just ignore them. And the Gulco, we can see that the Gulco that actually served for the British, they with their family, they are allowed to come and stay in Europe. They are allowed to stay in England. We have a lot of Gulco family in Greenwich, where they invited them to stay. So why the same system did not apply to the African soldiers, those in Ghana, Nigeria? Why the same system that allowed them and their family to come and reside in UK? Why was that not applied? Why is that not applicable? So I know you talk about we have our leaders. What are they doing? Sometimes I don't even believe in the Commonwealth anymore, because I don't understand what they go to that Commonwealth to do. Is it a tea party? Did they go there to go and say, oh, look at me, I'm the president. Oh, hello, hi. What do they go to that? I want to know. This brings us back to this conversation. What is the role of the Commonwealth?
Well, they can write as beautiful, objective, and goals as they want, but we have seen that it's a place created by the Queen to make all of us feel good. That's all. To make all of us feel good. Because if you follow the objective, if they are carrying it out, everyone should have been treated equally, but we're not. So I'm beginning to see, I'm beginning to see that the West can be very deceitful. They won't like this kind of statement, but that's what we see. So how can you explain that some countries are getting reparation for World War? Some are not. And the Africans, our number is over 2 million that went to the war. And people are still alive, people who got injured, people who died. Nobody's paying anything, but they're paying huge sums of money to other European countries and African countries. That's not all. How about when you even, the same Commonwealth, the Queen is the head, the King is now the head. They came, they took everything that belonged to us. They can't even return it. Now you are asking that there should be reparation for going to war. How about your property that they took? So my answer is Commonwealth is just for us to feel good that we're in the same group. That's all, nothing.
It's like a WhatsApp group.
I like that. That's the best description. You don't get anything, you just make noise there. That's all. You feel good. Oh, somebody commented, another one commented. That's the end. You just come run around, somebody will jump, the Americans will run past you, and Nigerians will jump more than you, and then everybody will go home again. That's all.
And if you talk too much, the admin will remove you.
Exactly. They will tell you, say things like this, don't say things like this. The one that sues them. So it's crap.
Oh my goodness me. Madam Shosho, what do you have on your table today?
To be honest, Mr. Clesus has said it all. The ECOWAS or whatever they call them.
No,
Commonwealth, and he said, we from the ECOWAS, we joined Commonwealth. But let me say, the Commonwealth, it has been a joke for a long time. It's just like you are playing a puzzle and you ask this one question, okay, don't say this, and they start to tailor people's statements. So it has not really worked. It does not really function. What does it function? Is it not the main thing? I think there is oil, and the oil today we are not even benefiting from it. So I think, like Mr. Cletus said, the artifacts, and again want to our soldiers to be recognized. Yes, they should be recognized. Not only that, but after recognizing them, the families need to have that benefit. That okay, one person from my family did this, did that. But if you look at those from Nepal or from Goko, all those that went in I think I know of a guy. His own is he went in 83. He came to UK 83 because he went for the war. He's been here since 83. That's 1983, and that's why all his families are here. So, but if you look at our own counterparts now from Nigeria, you can't say because you have been here, you fought a war 83 or 1980. They will
not even give you visa.
Looking at Jamaicans, the ones that came in, they say they don't have papers. Did we not hear they say they were taking them home?
Yeah, after all the work they've done.
Yeah. So in short, I don't know. Yeah, they said there's
okay. Ladies, hello, ladies. Hello. Hello. Now we talk about recognizing. Me, I've gone beyond recognition. I've far gone beyond. The spirit in me gets angry when I know that over 74 billion euros have been paid to Israel. The spirit in me rises up when I know that over 89 billion has been paid to individuals by Germany alone. Go and Google it. 87 billion euros have been paid to individuals. So why are they not saying to Africa, okay, Cletus's uncle, 2 of them, everyone will now receive $1 million. Let the children manage the phone. No, recognition is good, but we've gone beyond recognition. Now Poland is asking for 1.3 trillion euros. You think it will just go like that? Maybe they will negotiate and pay them some billions of dollars. So why are we talking about recognition in Africa? Some people got injured. Some people died. Some people were inhumanly treated. Some people came back and they amounted to nothing again. They ruined their destiny. They can't even pay for it. What is recognition?
But I remember with the GoCo, they had a lawyer. They had a lawyer that actually sued the UK government to court. Has there been any case where because I remember when my dad was a retired army officer. I remember when they were fighting for even just their pension. They have to set up union, do we have any like a body for the African soldiers that actually is asking, that has taken this thing to an international court?
Good. What you just said, you cannot fight any battle at global level as an individual alone and you will win. Where is the government that will fight? The reason why I gave you the background of the kind of government we have in Africa now, vis-a-vis veteran soldiers, is that we have a bunch of rascals who describe themselves as rebels, as soldiers, or whatever, that took over government, sponsored by the same West to just destabilize the system. And so there's no government, and I repeat, there is no government in Africa that is so focused and say, this is what we have to do, let's go to the war court. Because the Polish government that is asking for 1.3 billion, not one Isaiah Lucy that is asking for it, not one Cletus Chukuma. And this is a deliberate and sustained approach over successive governments.
So it's more like an agenda. It's an agenda. It's an agenda that has been set up. But again, it's an agenda set up by each government, which it depends on which government is coming in to actually continue to fight for the reparation of not just the soldiers that fought, but also for their family. But we should be having an activist group. We have a lot of activists, is it? We have lawyers that are activists that can actually raise this. I've seen them taking a lot of cases to court. If they could take, Mr. Chukuma, if they could take cases like, when they did the diamond, the South African diamond.
Yeah.
They took that case to court.
They took it to court, that's true.
Yes. And that was televised live. So why can't they do the same thing with except there's an hidden agenda, Tammy?
Yeah, and even the Gherkins, actually, they went to court as well.
They went to court.
And they won it.
They won it.
So I think Africa need to come together. You see, this is our problem.
Yeah.
We need to come together, unite, and make a big force and go for it.
Yeah, because
if they come together and they go to the world court, I think
international court.
International court.
International war court. Because I know most of the time they said people will be they sue people to international they say genocide.
Can I say something? Say something?
Okay.
The challenge is that if you have, for example, a good government that comes into from Benin Republic, we are going to fight for us to get everything that was stolen from us, or they have to pay repatriation. Then the Western government now see that you are making a road. They will organize for some idiot to overthrow you.
So let's go back to fact now. So foreign policies.
Yes, when you overthrow, the new government will say, no, we don't have to, but let bygone be bygone, let that one be, let's move on. They paid into. That's what we're having in Africa. That's the challenge with Africa. It's not that these Germans will not pay Africans, but who is there to fight? Nobody. So if they pay me as one of those rascals to remove somebody and they just put me there, and I say, no, we're not doing that again and all, that's the end, because I'm a dictator. That's the issue. So until Africans, the entire continent, come together to say, no more, no idiot will come and connive. Well, where is it going to come from? Well, I don't see it happening in the next, I'm sorry to say, I don't want to disappoint you ladies. I don't see it happening in the next 20, 50 years. I don't. Look at Nigeria's situation.
That is a shame.
Yes, it is a big shame, I can tell you that. Look, okay, let's start from South Africa. Mandela came out from the prison. He said, listen, reconciliation, and then you must do things right. And he said everything on. South Africa was moving somewhere, 4 years left. Boom. Becky came. Becky was trying his best. Immediately the new president came. He scattered everything.
Yeah.
South Africa went back to zero from zero.
Mm.
Yes. And in Ghana, Nkrumah came out. Nkrumah said, you know what? Do you know that the EU that people are bragging about today, Nkrumah talked about it in the year in the 40s. That was when he muted the idea of Africa having one economy. We were ahead of Europe. But because there are so many people who are hungry, they didn't see what Nkrumah was saying. Till today, they still can't see it. People are still talking about their tribes and Fulani and all of that stuff because we're parochial. So until there is decent education, the average black man is not educated, I'm sorry to say. I'm not talking about certificates. But they can't even fight for their brothers. That's part of education. They're not even, they don't even think for their net. You people are always talking about Africa, Africa, Africa. Most of your leaders don't know anything about Africa. They are not interested. Why, if they are interested, can anybody tell me why Benin Republic, Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, Mali, all the African countries in West Africa that are ruled by French people still pay tax to France? Can you tell me why? Can you tell me why Benin Republic or the person in Cote d'Ivoire will pay rent? The country. Can anybody tell me why? There are certain things you hear, you want to start crying, and you say, who bewitched Africans? So can anybody tell me why they will allow white people to come and take our raw gold, raw diamond, take to their country for nothing? We'll kill ourselves, we'll mine it and give to them. Then they will now come with diamonds and all of that. The Africans will go back and buy one small diamond for 500,000 pounds. Your own money. And everybody is sick and poor in Africa. So it's a long, I'm looking, look, this is Nigeria. PDP came up with one old man called Atiku. Atiku has been there for a long time. APC came up with another old man called Jagaban. He's falling up and down. He can't move his leg, can't move his hand. And the young ones say, what is happening? So these people don't want to respect us. Obi came out. Obi is 61 years old. And everybody went to him. Everybody is telling you that Obi, listen to me, that Obi is not experienced. Obi just came. Obi has no structure. Obi is Africans. I'm not talking about the Atiku and the Africans like you and I. They are killing for them. They are carrying guns. So we are, it's like we're doomed, honestly. If not that I'm a Christian, when there are certain things you say, why? Jagaban cannot make two sentences without making a mistake. Then we say he's going to be our president. So tomorrow you start yelling that Naira is almost 1,000 now. Naira to a dollar. So I'm telling you, my dear ladies, we have a endemic problem, systemic problem, and the white people are aware. They have destroyed all the values of African. They have destroyed the mindset that will move us forward. And they made us believe that we cannot help ourselves and that we cannot be helped.
But we still even have the same scenario where you try to work with your fellow Black community and you're telling them, say, this thing that you are doing, this is what is going to result to. You are showing them on the paper. You are letting them to know. You are singing it. You are telling them, this is what is going to happen.
Do you know why? Because it's Isaiah that is telling them. They look at you, and say, where is she from? They say, Nigeria, the bloody fool. They won't listen to you. They just say you are a bloody fool.
I say,
and when a white lady or a white boy comes to tell them, oh,
they're going to believe him.
You know what that is?
They say a prophet is not known in his time. And I tell them, I said, I'm not going to be here forever. I know that. But the day that my spirit will go back to my God, you guys will all know what I'm telling you.
Yes.
Because your children will suffer it.
Yes. They're already suffering it.
Yeah. They will suffer. This is just the beginning of the whole show.
We hear that Nigerian medical doctors in UK are already marginalized. Now, imagine you know what it takes. All of you are Nigerian. You know what it takes to go into to be admitted into a medical school in Nigeria. Mm-hmm. You have to be one of the smartest in the world, even when the medical school is nothing. You will write and pass, and you go to medical school and spend 7 years, and they will take you to UK to become a It's a tragedy.
And you have to still redo the exams again.
Redo the exams.
Yeah, you have to redo the exams again.
Yes.
So, but again, we are our own problem. Like Lucy is saying now, telling people what to do and they are not listening. That's why in my dialect they call them Anyeho. They don't listen.
But that's what I just told you. We are not educated, but we have all the certificates in the world. We have all the degrees in the world, but we're not educated. Educated people, we see what Lucy is saying even before she will mention it. Whether it's my blood or whatever. Educated people can analyze. They can quantify. Educated people can visualize. Educated people can project. Educated people are guided by history. Educated people look for the truth. Educated people clamor for confidence, excellence and capacity. Educated people are looking for the people that will add value to what they are doing. Educated people generate things, they create things. But the opposite is the other person. All they do is to pull him down. Syndrome.
Pulling down syndrome. Hashtag pulling down syndrome. I'm going to take that.
Capitalizing on their weakness. That is what they are doing. They are capitalizing on their weakness, and then they are capitalizing on the greedy leaders. And that's why they are doing what they are doing.
Oh, hello. You see, there is the effect of never. I told my son to leave the generator. They thought I was joking. You see the effect of never.
And then, and there was been a power outbreak in Nigeria.
Somebody will tell you after 8 years of change that he did so well and he's living the sin worse than he met it. He said it. So uneducated people everywhere. See me, I'm in darkness in Lagos now. You see? So it's not that I'm talking because this is a real.
I don't want to laugh at you too much, because you get too much pieces. They've already
right. And this is fact. This is something. This is something we see over here, even in our community here. In our community here, you see we set up black female to bring our black women together, so that they can have a common platform to use their skill, so that there won't be no barrier. We don't believe that anyone should be discriminated because of who you are. That everybody should have the same platform, no matter how much it takes you to start your business.
Whether it's all right.
But you are working with people. You are telling them that if we do not come together, things will not work.
Did you open the door?
It's like you're speaking. You are talking to.
That's why I said what I said. They use our disunity and our weakness. So, and again, within us, we always have a snitch. We need to start naming all the snitch.
The snitcher gets snitch. The snitcher gets.
They need to stop it. We need to work as one in anything we do.
Yes, it's sad. I was saying that I was reading something on the Twitter. A group of black men. There were about 12 of them came together to buy a bus. They set up a bus company during that time of segregation of black people and white people not entering the same bus. So these black men come together and they bought a bus in America. I retweeted on our Twitter page, and that bus was helped to convey a lot of black people to their destination without any problem. But looking at what we have done with the black female, looking at what we have done with the Black female, people might look at us and see us, something, they've called us all sorts of names, troublemaker, it's everything is all about them.
They are too loud.
Black female, they are too loud, they are too this, they are wide, they are this. We are not, you can label us whatever you want to label. You can call us troublemaker, you can call us, we are Rasta, but at the end of the day, we know where we are coming from, and we definitely know where we are going to. So no matter whatever name you label us, we know the game you are playing.
Yeah, of course.
We know your game.
The
and
problem
that's why I say,
they don't. They
why don't you? Hello, why don't you ask them? Are Europeans not troublemakers? If they are not troublemakers, how come they went to other continents to go and colonize people?
Exactly.
Okay.
If they are not troublemakers, how did they fight the First World War and Second World War? If Europeans are not troublemakers, why is Ukraine fighting Russia and all of that stuff?
Okay.
So, okay, there's a point I wanted to make for before we close, so that Africans will learn. You see, slowly but surely, Indians are coming up. Slowly.
It's true.
Doubt about it. Now, an Indian is your prime minister. Why? Because they are united. They don't hate one another.
Yeah, because they know the game. They know the game. They know the game.
Black people hate themselves. Now, we're all in West Africa. Do you know that if we go to play a football match between, say, Nigeria and the Republic, or Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire, it's always war. So it's like, oh, this is French-speaking country. We don't like English-speaking country. What has French and English got to do with black man? We're all brothers and sisters. Oh, thank God that my sister is married to somebody from Benin Republic because she's educated. There's this war between French-speaking people versus English-speaking. What a tragedy. I beg, it's time for us to close this thing now.
Let's shut down.
Without
loving ourselves, we can't get anywhere. And the
exactly. Tell them for me. And I hope everyone is listening, especially those of you in Greenwich, in our borough. I will say it. Those of our Black community, I keep saying it. If you don't come together, if you're one of those that used to criticize Black female, you are doing yourself. You will not get anywhere.
You go they talk life for our back because you want them to give you money.
Because of money,
they want you.
You won't go anywhere. If you like, go behind and collect it. What did they call them? What's that name? The tortoise that went to eat alone. What it be? That story?
Now be the bomber.
The bomber. The bomber keep going like the bomber. They go behind.
Now my there.
Things that is meant for everybody. Because you want them to tick you. You are the best, you are the best Black organization. You are very friendly. You are very friendly. You are not very vocal. You are yes, my yes, sir. You go yes, my yes, sir, to your grave.
One day breeze go blow, fire go.
Yes, go open like this. We're gonna say what we have to say.
If you not transformer.
So do you know why, ladies, do you know why people are afraid? Do you know why? No, well, but that's not the main reason. The main reason is that they have poor self-concept. People who are afraid are not self-assured.
You see?
They are afraid that if they criticize the master, they won't have food tomorrow. They are afraid that when they talk about the white man as, oh, why did you do this? Why did you do this? They will ask them to go back to Africa. And they are afraid that when they come back to Africa, they cannot generate anything to make Africa better.
That's it.
That's right. Yes. It's poor self-concept. People who are not self-assured, who have very low self-esteem, that can open their mouth. But if you know who you are, that you can do all things through Christ, and whether you are in America, you are in Britain, it doesn't matter, you survive even in Africa, you say the truth. Because the truth you know will set you free.
Yes.
Bam.
They forget to know when you speak the truth, you become like a force of nature.
That's
You
it.
know? When you speak the truth, when you see things that are wrong, you say it. Don't play politics with people's life. People are suffering. You see people that are living in a very tattered condition. Their house is messed up. You know that people in the system that are making life difficult for other people, and you are sitting down there as a black representative. You're sitting down there drinking tea at the expense of other people's life. I am telling you, your days are numbered. We will speak the truth. We don't have anything.
Some of them are power drunk. That's what
power drunk.
Them. Power drunk.
Power
we are
drunk.
Here. We are watching.
You want to change the whole scenario of people's destiny. Who are you? Can you create a woman being?
No.
Do you own people's life?
The reason why they do that, is because of the old divide and rule. And your brothers who are not speaking up, maybe they don't have a better accommodation, better job. They think they are better than the person who is not living well. Meanwhile, if you have 10 Africans who are real Africans in Europe who are not living well, all black people are not living well.
Exactly.
That's what it means. Until you start thinking of others, you are a miserable wretch.
Yeah. And it's true.
You are spot on.
Yeah.
And it's true. Thank you.
All right,
thank you very much, guys. And those of you that are joining us now, you can go back to our YouTube, you can rewatch it. And the lesson for every one of us, you need to speak up. Speak up. They say, all die, not die.
Not die. And every closed mouth is a closed destiny.
It's a closed destiny. If you like today, don't speak up. The day when Lucy and Tammy is not there for them to sanction, they will come and sanction you.
Bang bang.
Bang bang.
We are out.
Yeah. The one day we will not be here for you to be sanctioning us. So you will be the next person. Your children will be the next person. They will sanction you guys. If you like, you speak. If you like, you not speak. I am telling you, whatever problem is coming to us, we will also rob you. It's just like somebody say, I don't care about gun crime. I don't care about knife crime. One day, the knife crime will stop you on the road and take your car. One day, the gun crime will shoot your child on the streets. That's it. So if you care about the community, that's your problem.
So finally, ladies, what I want to say finally is that government, church organizations, all stakeholders should come together to say, listen, there must be a reparation that should be paid to Africans. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take. We will start the movement. We will fight for it. We will sustain the fight until justice is done.
That's
it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. We're going to call it a day, and I hope you enjoy this conversation. If you don't enjoy this conversation, that means you are one of those that are pulling the pillar from falling down. But you know what? We are force of nature. We cannot stop. So, guys, thank you all for watching. The Black History 365 is still happening. And the next event we are having is the fashion show. African fashion show will be in Woolwich Library. And we have the Honorable Jollof Rice competition coming soon. So, guys, who win? You decide. Myself and Madam Shosha, we are there to test all rice.
That's it. Settle. So, guys, don't touch that. I will see you.
Send some to me in Lagos.
We will send, definitely.
We will tell it.
Maybe we're gonna make you a televisor judge. So you see how the women are putting the rice. If they cook it well, they not cook it well, you tell them say 0/10. maybe some need to be sent back to Africa to go and learn how to cook the rice.
Exactly. Exactly.
Bye, everyone. Have a great night. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.